Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video I'm going to take a look at the free decks that Hearthstone is giving to new and returning players. These were introduced back before Ashes of Outland expansion, but all the decks were built so that they were compatible with the upcoming standard format and they have not yet been updated. However, the meta surrounding us has been updated a lot, so even though I took a look at these decks back when they were first released, it's a good time to take another look and see what decks are best to pick now in Ashes of Outland. In order to get one of these free decks, you have to either be a returning player who has not logged into Hearthstone for 4 months, or you have to be a new player and then you get the deck when you graduate from the new player rank. So you have to play from 40 through 1, and once you hit that bronze 10, having played through all 40 ranks of the new player ladder, then you will get to pick a deck. First, the Druid deck. It's a token Druid deck, and it's a fairly decent build overall. There were some question marks initially whether token Druid can survive the rotation, and indeed token Druid in this form is usually not played on ladder. Much more commonly you can see spell Druids on ladder. But this deck could easily be updated into a spell Druid. Some upsides of choosing this deck include that you get Rising Winds, which is normally from Galakrond's Awakening adventure, so if you don't intend to buy that adventure, although you should buy that adventure, but if you for some reason don't want to do that, then getting Rising Winds means that opens up token Druids, spell Druids. Not quite quest Druids, because for that you would also need Steel Beetle from the adventure, and for that you then need the adventure. But getting one key piece for spell Druid decks could be useful. You're also getting Anubis Defenders and Forces of Nature in this deck, which are also used in some variants of spell Druids. So that opens up more options for you on how to build a spell Druid deck, if that's where you want to go with this. Then in order to build a spell Druid, you would need Glowfly Swarm as the only expensive card, it's an epic, and then some rares, especially Fungal Fortunes. But overall, upgrading the Druid deck into a spell Druid deck would be rather simple. The Hunter deck is a Quest Hunter deck, and it did not take the rotation too well. This was better before the rotation, now it's quite lackluster. It also gives you some cards from Galakrond's Awakening Adventure, if you don't want to buy that one, with Licensed Adventure and Sky General Crag, which are all the Quest Synergy cards from the adventure. It's just that after the rotation, Quest decks are not doing very well, so it's unlikely that you would have much use for these. They might become better again in future expansions. If there will be quest decks, then these are some of the cards that quest decks will want to play, especially Sky General, which is a phenomenal quest deck card. But for the current meta, the Hunter deck doesn't offer you great upgradability, because this archetype is not seeing play. And the best cards that it offers, these Quest Synergy cards, well, if you buy Galakrond's Awakening Adventure, you're going to get them anyway, and even if you don't, quest decks are not doing great right now. Then there is the Mage deck. Lots of people are recommending people to pick Mage deck, and there are some good reasons for that, because the Mage deck includes all of the Highlander synergy cards available to Mage. There's Renoter Relicologist, a legendary card, a Mage card, and the 2 neutral Highlander legendaries, Zephyrus the Great and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. And if you plan to play any Highlander decks, then these would be some of the first cards that you would want. Because if you don't have these cards, then it doesn't make any sense to play Highlander decks. The Mage deck itself is abysmal. This is not a ladder-ready deck by any means, so if you take this for the parts. Because all the cards that you get from this deck are yours to keep and do what you will with. So then you have these pieces that you can build Highlander decks with, but Highlander decks typically are fairly expensive, so can you afford to build them is another question. But simply from the point of view of salvaging a deck for its parts, then Mage deck is a good choice. Paladin deck is a pure Paladin, but pure Paladin didn't really become a thing in Ashes of Outland. In fact, it is even worse now than it was. And before the rotation you could at least hope, okay, they're going to print some good stuff for Paladin and we're going to be able to play pure Paladin then, and in this deck you do get a lot of good pure Paladin cards. But because pure Paladin is doing so miserably, then this deck is just a complete dead end at the moment. The Priest deck is a Resurrect Priest deck, and it contains lots of good cards for Resurrect Priest. You can basically build a Resurrect Priest with just 4 epic cards, 2 copies of Psychopomp and 2 copies of Plague of Death, and you get all of that in this deck. And you also get Katrina Muerte, which is a really good legendary card for the archetype, and you get Archmage Vargot. Vargot was given out for free 1 year ago, if you happened to be playing back then, but if you weren't, then Vargot currently is not available for free, so that might also be a good addition. The exact mix that this deck uses cards in is quite a mess. There's Holy Smites and Shadow Word Paints and Batterheads. There's a number of cards that don't really belong into this deck right now. But Resurrect Priest and archetype is completely viable. It's not top tier, but it's decent playable deck, and this could cheaply be improved into a completely viable ladder deck. The Rogue deck, on the other hand, is phenomenal. It includes really solid legendaries, Heistbaron Togwaggle, Edwin Van Cleef, the 2 best Rogue class legendaries, so if you want to play any Rogue decks, you want these in them. So if you want to play Rogue, this is a very easy pick. And it also includes Kronk's Dragonhoof, so if you want to play any Galakrond decks also for other classes, then Kronk's is available for those. And overall, this is just a very good deck. I looked through statistics of all of these decks, and this is a deck that can be played all the way to Legend, right out of the box. And that is saying something. Then the Shaman deck. The Shaman deck includes the Fist of Raden as its legendary card, and Fist of Raden is from Galakrond's Awakening Adventure. So this can be good or bad. If you wouldn't want to get the adventure, well, you can get a card from it. But on the other hand, if you plan to get the adventure, then this is one of the easiest legendary cards to get access to. So that might not even be an upside. Then there's Kronk's Dragonhoof. Okay, that's useful in lots of classes if you want to play with Galakrond. But overall, the Shaman deck performance is not great, and it's a dead-end upgradability-wise, because Shaman does not have good archetypes at the moment. So if you pick this, you have really not much to look forward to. The Warlock deck is a Galakrond Zoo deck. Right now, most Zoo decks are Discard Zoo decks, which are based on completely different style of play. But Galakrond Zoo is still fine. It's just weaker than Discard Zoo at the moment, but it's still doing okay. And this deck does give you quite a lot of interesting pieces. Because once again you get Kronk's Dragonhoof, so you can use that in all of your Galakrond decks. You get Veiled Worshippers, which can be used also in Galakrond Warlock if you want to play that sort of deck. And you get all the Galakrond synergy cards for Warlock. So you could use parts of this in building a Discard Zoo deck and then building a Galakrond Warlock deck. And the deck itself is doing quite well. It's one of the better performing decks of these choices out of the box. But it's a bit of an off-meta archetype at the moment. The Warrior deck is a pure Pirate Warrior, pure aggro. And this is not an archetype that is commonly seen on the ladder nowadays. People are using these sorts of Pain or Egg Warriors a lot more. But this is still an effective deck. Aggression never goes out of style. It's a good deck. It's one of the best decks out of these options straight out of the box. And it does give you a number of pretty good cards. Because Ankar, Captain Greenskin, Livewire Lance, all of these see a lot of play right now. But the thing is that if you want to build any other warrior archetype, you will have to have Risky Skippers. And Risky Skipper is from Galakrond's Awakening Adventure. So that is a missing piece that if you can't get that one, then it's really hard to upgrade this into something else. On the other hand, if you buy the adventure and you have the Risky Skippers, then this gives you a lot of the other tools that current warrior decks use, while being a perfectly viable deck in its own right. So what should you choose in Ashes of Outland meta out of these decks? Rogue is the best deck. Rogue was the best deck back in Descent of Dragons. It fell a little bit by the wayside at the start of Ashes of Outland, with Demon Hunter being so strong, but after Demon Hunter got nerfed a little, Rogue came back, and Rogue is again the best deck, and it also has a ton of value in the cards in it. Although some of that value is for Rogue specific class cards. If you just want to play with your deck and have success on the ladder, well, Rogue is the best option still, then Warrior and Warlock are the other two decks that are performing quite nicely according to statistics. All three of those are playable even up to Legend. The Mage deck has the most value in the form of neutral cards because it has Zephyrus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza for all sorts of Highland decks, but the Mage deck itself is really weak, and if you can't afford to build those Highland decks, then those pieces might not help you that much. The Druid and Priest decks are not that great out of the box, but they are both easy to upgrade. So Druid can easily be upgraded to a full Spell Druid, and Priest can easily be upgraded to a Resurrect Priest. Spell Druid is one of the top archetypes of Druid at the moment, and the deck even gives you tools to build both of the two main variants with the Anubis Defenders and Force of Natures or without. And as for Priest, the most common archetypes right now are Galakrond and Highlander, so not Resurrect, but Resurrect is still an okay deck if you like to play that. And in Ashes of Outland, the three worst choices that you can make are Hunter, Paladin and Shaman, because none of them are performing very well, and none of them have a clear upgrade path to anywhere. So while on internet forums the general consensus is that always pick Mage, you must pick Mage, that's not strictly true. Mage is a good choice, but there are also other perfectly viable options here. And these can really jumpstart your collection towards some specific decks in Ashes of Outland. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.